Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the first session of our brand new life group series, which is all about the book of Proverbs. Esther is our guest this evening. It's great to have you with us, Esther.
Good to be here.
And I don't really need to introduce much about you, Esther, because everyone should know you anyway. But why don't you give us a snapshot? Maybe tell us something we might not know about you. I'm putting you on the spot there a little bit.
When I was little, we used to have ostrich chicks in our garden.
Ostrich chicks?
Yep, ostrich chicks in our garden.
Wow.
We used to help hand rear them, and they used to have bunny rabbits to look after them.
How did the bunny rabbits look after the ostriches?
Because ostrich, when they're small, it's just a thing. You have little dwarf bunny rabbits, and it helps look after the ostrich chicks, and we used to play with them as kids.
Okay, you heard it here first.
Mm-hmm.
Bunny rabbits looking after ostrich chicks with the help of Esther. So there you go. So tonight, as I said, it's our brand new series all about Proverbs, and we're going to be looking at different Proverbs each week. And our first proverb tonight, Esther, we're going to look at, but obviously we're going to play a game to start with.
Yes,
So the game tonight is asking you some tricky questions. I'm going to put you in some difficult scenarios, and you need to tell me what you would do.
Okay.
And guys need to listen carefully at home, because you're going to have the exact same scenarios to discuss in your groups when we pause the video in a moment or two. Okay. Scenario number one. Okay. Your friend has just trodden in dog poo as you walk along the road. You saw it, but they haven't noticed it. Are you going to tell them? Are you going to ignore it? Are you going to pretend it didn't happen? How are you going to respond in this situation?
Do I like this person?
They're a friend.
They're a friend. I would tell them.
You'd tell them?
Mainly because I just wouldn't want it to get near me as well.
Okay.
It'd be a bit selfish, but
So-
I'd be like, can you get rid of that, please?
So you're just going to embrace the embarrassment and tell them?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Okay, next one. Similar. There's a toilet theme here going on. Okay. So your friend has come out of the toilet, and you have noticed that their shirt or blouse or whatever is tucked into their underwear, and it's kind of it's above their skirt or trousers. Okay. So it's from the back. So you notice it. They don't notice it. Again, friend, maybe think of you in your school scenario. Maybe you're year 10 or year 9, year 10.
Yeah, okay.
Are you going to tell them? Are you too embarrassed to tell them? Are you going to let them be utterly embarrassed? What are you doing here, Esther?
I think I would laugh for a little bit because it's quite funny. But then I think I would tell them.
So you're going to laugh at them first?
Just for a little bit, just because it's funny when that happens.
Yeah.
And then I would tell them.
Okay. So you fortunately, like Esther and I, were probably not. You probably didn't have a smartphone with a camera when you were at school in year 9 or 10.
No, definitely not. It was just a little Nokia.
Yeah. Okay, so you wouldn't have taken a picture. I bet some of you guys back there, I bet you're taking pictures and...
Now you said that, if somebody does that in the future, I will be taking a photo.
Okay, next one. Another, again, for same friend, you got this friend in mind.
Friend, okay.
They come, sit next to you in school, and they really smell BO. It's like they should have had a shower. They didn't have a shower. They clearly not put deodorant on. I mean, they really smell. Are you gonna broach it with them? Are you gonna embrace the awkwardness, or are you just gonna say, "Oh, someone else can tell them"? I haven't got.
I see. This one I think is actually super awkward.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I could tell them. I just feel like, I don't know, BO is a particularly awkward one where you're like, because also you're at school, so what are they going to do?
Okay.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. You're like, do I smell? But I don't think so.
Okay.
I might make some hints.
Okay.
I might just put some deodorant on kind of thing.
Or have you tried this really nice new
perfume? Yeah, it's something that I had in my bag. I might be tempted to.
Impulse.
Yeah, Impulse, Lynx, Lynx Africa.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I would probably hint rather than say it outright.
Okay, we've got two more. Next one is your friend is coming to you very excited.
Okay.
Because there's this guy they like, and the guy has asked them out. Or you can flip the scenario: guy, girl, girl, guy. Yeah. They've just asked them out, and you think that guy is utterly bad news. Okay, they are not good news. But they tell you they really like them and they're going to say yes. Are you going to crush their heart, crush their dreams? Are you going to say, hey, I don't think this is a good idea? Or are you just going to kind of let them get on with it even though you know it's going to be a car crash?
See, it's hard because year 10 self probably would be a bit like, I guess they're okay. A bit on the fence. Mm-hmm. Now I would probably just be like, no,
don't do it.
Don't do it. I just seen too many bad relationships, and if I hadn't said that, I would feel guilty. Like I hadn't been a good, like any sort of good friend. Okay. Whereas I don't know whether I would have had the confidence to do that though. The school age, I would have been a bit more. He's not my favourite person, but if you like him, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I can imagine you saying that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Last one then. Okay, so you have just had a test in class, right?
Yeah.
And teacher says, right, come and hand in your tests. As you're walking past your friend's test, you see that they've got the last 3 questions wrong, and you could really quickly tell them, give them a nudge and say, oh, that answer's this, you can show them your own one. Are you going to help them out like that, or are you going to just let them flounder and suffer in not getting the test?
So when you say flounder and suffer, that it's my fault.
Yeah.
I feel like I wouldn't, but there's part of me that would, but at the same time I'm like, well, that would put me in a tricky situation. Like I'd be, I don't know. So the teacher's got the back to me. I might.
You can definitely get away with it. You're not going to get in trouble. It's whether or not you want to help them out, or is it helping them out, Esther?
Well, this is the thing, because in the long term, that's not helping them out. Then. Okay. But I would be tempted to be like, check those 3 out again, but not actually give them the answer. But maybe just I'd be tempted. I'm not sure if I'd do it or not.
Okay.
I'm bad for sitting on the fence, aren't I?
You don't quite know what you're doing, but
Well, yeah. I feel like this me would do one thing, and then the me at school would have probably helped them out and be like, change it to that quickly, because I would have wanted to like be kind.
I think I'm saying I think I would give different answers now to when I was younger. Yeah. But we're going to hand over to you. You can pause the video. You know the drill by now. Pause the video. The same questions, same scenarios. Your leaders will have them. Have a discussion. Decide what you would do as a friend. So as I said, Esther, we are going to be looking at the book of Proverbs. We're going to interview different people through the church and ask them about different Proverbs. So you've got the first Proverbs lined up for us. Can you read them out for us? So it's Proverbs chapter 27, verses 6 and verse 17. They're different Proverbs, but they're quite linked. Yeah. And if you read them out for us, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. So the first one is, wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. And then verse 17 is, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another.
Okay, so we're going to take these Proverbs one at a time. That first one, so wounds from a friend are better than many kisses from an enemy.
Yeah.
Okay, so what on earth does that mean?
Okay, well, I think it means that when you get hurt by a friend, and hopefully, and this I imagine is a good friend, someone who cares about you, actually they're hurting you because they care. It's not like a sort of, I'm going to slap you around the face just for fun. It's that actually I'm going to tell you this difficult thing or say something hard, or that you know, whatever it is, because they care. Yeah. And so it's nice.
Go back to our examples earlier. It's like the BO. Like, I'm telling you you've got BO not because I want to upset you or make you feel bad, but because I care about you, and I'd much rather you didn't smell when you sat next to me. But also that other people didn't think that you smelled as well. Yeah. I mean, it's a bit of a silly example. Have you got any sort of other examples of things where maybe someone said something to you which at the time maybe felt like a wound or felt like something painful, but as you came to think about it in retrospect, you thought, I'm so glad that they were brave enough or bold enough to say that to me?
Yeah, I actually thought of a few examples where actually people had... There was a scenario in church one time where basically I had totally not realised that I had sort of blanked somebody and hadn't been the sort of person I would like to be, and somebody pulled me up on it, and actually it was really hard to hear at the time, because actually what they were saying, I was like, oh, if that's how I come across, and if that's actually what I'm like, that's really hard to hear. And at the time I was a bit like wounded, really, but actually when I had time to like think about it later, I was like, actually, that person, number one, really cares about me.
Absolutely, yeah.
And number two, it gave me a chance to apologise and to change that. So I then became really aware of like, actually, I have a tendency to do that, and I don't want that to be part of my personality. So I now know that, so I can change it.
Yeah, you can do something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's better than kisses from an enemy in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we all like hearing nice things from people, and so that's the tendency with like people who are enemies. Like, they can say all this lovely stuff to you, but do they really care? And is there something behind that that actually is not helpful, or they're wanting something from you? It's not the same at all.
That's a really helpful example. We're gonna hand back over to you guys. Pause the video. You know the deal. What we're going to ask you to do is think about this proverb. Have a look at it. Have a read of it again. Get your Bibles open to the first proverb, which is Proverbs 27, verse 6. Read it through. Maybe read it in a couple of different versions, and think: do you agree with it? Is it something you think is true or not true? And then maybe think about some examples that you might have of things that people have said to you that have felt really hard at the time, but you're really grateful that they did say to you when you look back on it. Okay, Esther, so in reality, I think this proverb, most of us would agree with the principle behind it. Yeah,
okay.
Even though sometimes it's hard to hear difficult things, if they're true and they're going to help us, that we would probably all say, yeah, okay. But what do you think stops us from listening to those wounds from enemies, or those difficult things that people say? What do you think are the things that means that we'll put up walls and say, actually, I don't want to hear that?
Pride. I think we don't often like the view that other people see us as being bad or doing things wrong. So we want to be liked.
Yeah.
And so then the idea that somebody might pull you up on something that means actually, ooh, that part of me is not quite likeable, I think is one of the main reasons why we don't want to listen to that. And also it sometimes requires work. So like when the person who I spoke to, I thought, actually, I've really got to think now about how do I come across? How am I going to change that? And we don't want to do that sometimes.
And that's absolutely right. Yeah, kind of. If I have to change and be more like that, that's going to require a whole load of effort and work and character formation that I don't know if I'm prepared to do that. I've got so many other things going on in my life right now.
Yeah.
So what kind of taking the second part of that idea of the proverb, like kisses from an enemy, which is a bit of a strange phrase, but I think we know what we mean. Like it's what you kind of come as a butt kisser, kind of that idea, like someone who just tells us all the nice things.
Yeah.
What do you think is attractive about that?
Well, again, it kind of, we like to be liked. We like people to say nice things about us. It kind of just, it's one of those things where I think, oh, that person, even though they don't like me, they're saying nice things about it. It feels good. It's that kind of, and it encourages, I guess, in the behaviour that we're already doing, all the things we already do. So it's like, actually, I must be a great person if people are saying that about me. So that would. Yeah,
it kind of reinforces the behaviour which I might know is wrong or not is not good, but if everyone else is doing it and we're all telling each other this is fine, then we kind of makes us feel better about it, even though we know it's not quite right.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so we're going to pause the video and hand back over to you guys again. And the question's this, right? Do you think we always need to listen to the wounds which come from friends? Are there times when we shouldn't listen? Are there people that we shouldn't listen to? And what can help us be wise in making these decisions? Okay, Esther, we're going to move on to the second proverb in the same chapter. Do you want to just read it again so that we've got it fresh in our minds?
So it's verse 17, and it says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Okay,
so first obvious question, what does that mean?
Well, I think it's the idea that we're all these, I look at it as like we're being knives, really, and the idea that when we have a knife, it gets blunt. As we do things in life, it gets blunt, and so it needs sharpening. And I find I was looking into this actually, and I find it really fascinating because it's just the idea that actually a knife can't sharpen itself. A knife is going to get blunt as it's used, and actually it needs something else to sharpen it. And you can't do that on your own. And so it's the idea that actually we need each other.
we're not designed to be on our own. The way that we actually grow in our relationship with God, grow in community, all those things, we need each other.
Yeah. That's absolutely true, and we could each list about 100 Bible verses that kind of tell us that in different ways. So yeah, very, very good. So just tell us maybe about some of those key relationships for you that have helped sharpen you in your walk with God and your deepening relationship with Him.
Yeah, I think always having, for me, it's really important to have Christian relationships. I think that's been the main thing, that actually we want to be in the world, so we need people who are not Christians, but actually the people who really sharpen me, who encourage me, who challenge me are actually Christians, because also they have the same views as me.
Yeah.
So we're all heading, hopefully, in the same directions. And so I think, it's definitely having good Christian friends in my life has been one of the most important things. I've been really fortunate that also I have Christian sisters, so actually developing those relationships as well over the years has been really important to me. And having a spread of relationships, so I always want somebody in my life who is older than me, same age as me, younger than me. I want the generation speaking into my life. I don't just want to be in a bubble of mums with children my age, because actually we can all encourage one another one way, but we can't necessarily do some of the sharpening bits that people either side of me can do.
Yeah, and that's excellent advice, and I love the fact that you included people both older than you and younger than you, as well as the same age as you, because it's not always that you teach people younger than you. Part of the reason I love doing youth work, I'm sure part of the reason you love doing youth work and all the other youth leaders as well, is because we learn so much and are sharpened by being around younger Christians and people who are maybe not as mature in their faith, but really excite us in the way they're going.
Absolutely.
So just quickly then, how have you developed some of those relationships? What are some of the practical things you've done to find people younger than you, same age as you, older than you? Because those doesn't sound like those relationships kind of happen by accident for lots of us.
Yeah, so I'm a really proactive person. So for me, particularly the people who are older than me in my life, who I pray with regularly and do things like that with, I actually asked them. I was like, do you know what? I need this sort of person in my life. I want somebody who's a step ahead of me. And I prayed about it, and God gave me some people. It always sounds a bit geeky saying this, but I do really intentionally pray about friends. I pray about the right people to invest into for the right season. And that does change. And it doesn't mean that I sort of, get rid of that friend and pull in this friend. It's just more, actually, who are the people who are going to speak into my life in the right way at this point? And then I'm always proactively looking for trying to, with particularly younger than me, I'm aware that it's quite intimidating to kind of ask to be discipled or to walk alongside somebody. So I try and proactively actually bring those sort of people into my life and say like, hey, I want to come alongside you, let's hang out, kind of thing. Yeah,
that's great advice again. We're going to pause the video here, I think, for a final time and hand back over to you guys. But just before I do want to say a huge thank you, Esther, for the time you've put into thinking about this, preparing this, for the model that you are to the young people in this area in particular. I think you're an excellent model and just real nuggets of advice there. So thank you so much. We're going to hand over to you guys now. There's lots in that last section in particular that Esther said, which I think lends itself to a moment of pause and stopping and thinking and reflecting about, what do you need in your life? What do I need in my life? What do we need right now? What sort of voices do we need to speak in? It might also be that there's some voices you need to think about cutting out of your life.
Yeah.
There's some voices you need to actively pray to God, as Esther was saying, I need a voice like this, or I need someone who's going to help me in this area. So just take a time to pause and think and ask God's Spirit to speak to you about which voices can speak into your life. And then discuss that and share that as a group after a little while and think about the practical steps that you can take to make that happen.